So let's talk a little bit. I want to have a conversation. What do you guys think about when you think about house flipping? You hear the words house flipping, especially for the newer people. What are some of the negatives and positives? It's competitive. Awesome. That's true. Very competitive. Good contractors. I heard that a lot today. That's a pain. Maybe next 2 months, we won't have one next month, but in 2 months, would you guys want to talk about contractors? Yeah. I'm really good with contractors, so I can give you some great advice on that. So, okay, we'll do that. I'll make that our topic. You guys choose. That way I know what you want to talk about. But contractor is a big one. Like, usually you talk to 5 people. At least one person's like, I hate contractors. Contractors, they're hard. So, it takes time. So that's a system also, like anything. If I had the magic wand that could just instantly get good contractors, I'd be on my yacht right now. Like, it does take work, and one thing I tell, even I have the really high-level students that are doing 20, 30 houses a year that I work with in my highest-level group, and they come to me, and their pain usually isn't finding deals because they wouldn't have got to that level if they couldn't find deals. Their pain is getting the work done and getting it done on time and on budget, and that's where I specialize. I've been doing that for a long time. I'm close to about 800 flips, and I've gotten good at it, right? And I have a secret weapon, but I also have, have good systems to follow, and we know what to do. So we make sure that we're getting done. Now, and I've coached a lot of my students to get that done. Now, can I teach you how to be great with contractors in a week? No, nope. And anyone that says they can, they're lying to you and just trying to sell you a product. It takes time. Like, if you were to get a good team, it's going to take you a couple months, would be really awesome. If you did it in 6 months, that's pretty awesome too. If it took you a year, would you be willing to work a year to get a great team under your belt? Yes. Do you guys know what the value of a good contractor is? Like, one good contractor? So if you're making $30,000 a house, in my company, one contractor can do about 7 deals a year. So that's $210,000 a year in income. Even if they're not only doing 5 or 6, it's $150K a year. If you think about a contractor like that they're worth $150K a year to you, you treat them differently. I don't think most people think of it like that. They actually are worth about $150K a year. So when you work at it one time and it doesn't work, or you try for a month and it doesn't work, well, you're not going to pick up $150K a year that's almost automated when you get a good person if you're not willing to put the time, energy, and work into it. And a lot of that starts with you becoming the kind of person that a good contractor wants to work for. So for many years, I worked very hard to have contractors, but I also was kind of a jerk, right? I was hard on people. And when I worked on myself and I became a better person, I attracted better people. I also created standards to where I didn't let crazy people come into my business anymore. Because for many years, because I was a little bit of a jerk, I would let other people that were jerks work for me because I felt bad judging them when I was that way. But now, if someone doesn't do what they say and they don't keep their word, I'm very passionate about giving my word and keeping it. If they don't do what they say, we get rid of them. Exactly. Yeah. And it's not easy to do, and it's so hard to find them in the first place. But we're going to talk about this, though. So that's the preview. I don't want to give you everything this month because we were talking for 10 hours. So I don't want to do that. So you think of contractors. What else when we're thinking about house flipping? So competitive. Need good contractors. Anybody else?
Finding the deals.
Finding deals, yeah. That's definitely one of the top 2. Finding deals is not easy. Good ones. Cash.
Market variations.
What was that? Target variation? Oh, market variation.
It goes up and down.
Yes, it does. You can. Okay. You could. And you will if you're not doing it well. It's just fact. I won't lie about that. Right, there is risk in house flipping. I will tell you this, though. The market, when I first got into this, it was 2008. And obviously I went into 9, so I felt a little pain. I just had a couple deals. I bought them really well because I hired a coach, and he taught me how to buy them really well. And I just didn't make a lot of money on a couple deals. And then I started buying at the cheaper price, which the market has went down to, and everything was good. So if you buy houses really well, you can sell them off pretty quickly. You might not make 30K on them if there's a crash in the market. You might end up making 10K or 15K or breaking even. But the difference in people that weren't buying well is they were losing 10K. I have to tell you, it's not hard to take 10K profit. It's really hard to write a 10K check. I've seen people turn them into rentals, do anything not to lose 10K. But when you're going to make 10K, you're just like, you know what, just make the 10K. We'll fix it on the next one. And that's why it's really important to have your stuff together and buy good deals. I highly advise, whether you're coaching with me, you're reading books, you're on Bigger Pockets, whatever it is, study and become an expert at it. That's how you become recession-proof. Right? You got to be good. You got to be buying them right. If you're buying them a little bit high because it's competitive, then that's not really the answer, unfortunately. It leaves you very, very at risk in a time when we know the market is going to change in the next couple of years, especially if they impeach Donald Trump. I don't think that would be good for business. I mean, I don't really care about politics. I just care that like he's good for house flipping and good for business, very much. But he's great for house flipping because he's an investor. He's put out a lot of rules that help us, so I'm hoping he gets reelected, but not for political reasons, just so my business doesn't have to. I don't have to go like work harder. That's it. I just want business to be good. I don't care about everything else. So if anyone else has a political agenda, I don't care. I'm not political. I just want to make money. I really care mostly about my business and my people that rely on me right now. I have a lot of people whose families eat because our business runs well, and that would change if things really went bad. So I want to make sure that I'm hoping that the economy is going to, right now, based on everything we see, we're thinking it's probably just going to be an adjustment versus a crash, because crashes are like every 40 to 50 years, and we had one just like 10 years ago. So it's not really likely we'll have a crash. A lot of people say that because they want to sell you some kind of product that makes you crash proof, but there's no such thing. Just be good at it. Make sense? So we got, that was good. I mean, competitive, contractors, need money, and what else? Yeah.
Creating value.
Tell me more about that. Oh, yeah, and absolutely. You do create a lot of value. That's probably my favorite part of it. I mean, if there's anything we do well, right, we wonder like, okay, well, we make money. A lot of times we focus on the money we make. But every single time when your house is done really well and it's priced well, you put a great family in that house usually, and they're very appreciative of it. So you do get to enjoy that part of it. You get to take a house that was the scary house on the block, and now it's like usually one of the nicest houses. And then neighbors start to fix their houses up. When you fix yours up, they start fixing theirs up because now everyone brings their game up a little bit. So neighborhoods actually improve quite a bit when people flip one single house. I've seen one house get flipped, and within like 3 years, 10 get flipped. And it just like people see one person do it and they start to repeat it. So yeah, it brings neighborhoods up. It definitely did for where I was, at least for a period of time. Brooklyn Avenue in Brooklyn had like 10 rehabs done on it. I did most of them, but then when it stopped selling, I had to go somewhere else. But because the economy wouldn't support it anymore. But it was a bad neighborhood. That's why the neighborhood just got worse and worse. So anything else on house flipping? That's like pretty much all the good stuff, by the way. I mean, can you write those down? Everything they said.
Yeah.
You remember him?
No, but we got it on tape.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're a thinker. I like him. So yeah, because I want to make sure I teach you guys on that stuff, right? That's the stuff you want to know about, correct? I want to make sure, because that's the biggest pain points is the stuff to know. If you got all that stuff mastered and you're really good at everything we just talked about, how to find money, all those things, then you're going to do well in this business. Most people know very little about most of this, so let's talk about a little bit about the myths, and then we'll go through them. We'll go through them quickly. So everyone says, Mike, what's up with the money? Absolutely. Yeah, money, it requires money to flip houses, but most flippers learn how to use other people's money. Has everybody heard about OPM? Right? It's like OPP. Right? I don't even know what that means.
You know me.
Yeah, you know me. Exactly. OPM, man, other people's money. It's like, look, I got into this very broke, about $100K in debt, 109 to be exact. I went back and looked and figured that out. And yeah, I was really broke. I couldn't have done this if I didn't have someone else who believed in me. And because I had chosen, part of how I got 109 in debt is I went and got a $15,000 coach. But because I had done that, someone else believed in me. And they seen that I was like starting to know some stuff because the coach was teaching me good stuff. And I literally was just having a conversation about something I learned. And that was way higher level than what they knew. So they were like, oh man, I want to invest with you. And that was just one house we did together. But then I did a couple of my own after that. And then I found a partner who invested about $600,000, $700,000 with me. And we worked together for 7 years, like a very long time. We ran a business. That's where Millie was working with us back then. And it's like we had a lot of people that work with us. So it was a great business that we were able to do. And if he didn't believe in me because, I was being smart about what I was doing and I knew the numbers, I knew how to get stuff done, well, he wouldn't invest it with me. I mean, he wouldn't have done the first couple. Once we did the first couple and made some money, then I had a track record. See, that's how it works. You don't necessarily have to have deals under your belt. You have to look smart, though. Because, see, if you don't have your stuff together, people won't invest money with you. You know what that is? Like, I asked my first partner why he invested with me because I didn't know anything. I'd never done a flip. He's like, you invested in yourself. He's like, your ability, like you believed in yourself to put $15K up when I know you didn't really have it. And you took and put it on like credit cards. The guy taught me how to like max out like 8 credit cards. Like it was kind of crazy, but he taught me how to do that. And then which I don't recommend. If you don't have money, you should hold off, get a job, get your debt down a little bit, because this isn't the cure to financial, being in the pits. You want to make sure you can live first before you invest all your money. But he taught me how to do it. I'm glad I did it. And my partner said he invested with me because I invested in myself. And that's a big thing. A lot of people with money will invest in you when you're willing to invest in yourself. But they don't see you're willing to invest yourself, and you kind of have a dream. And you're like, but I got this dream. Like, well, people don't want to put a lot of money up on your dream because that's their money they work really hard for. Most of the time when people are investing with you, keep in mind that's the money they've saved their whole life for. 20 years, 10 years. It's money that's really meaningful to them. So they got to trust and like you to put that money up and take that risk. And by the way, you want to be able to deliver too. Like, you don't want to take other people's money if you can't deliver what you promise. So get your stuff together, know what you're doing, and then you won't have to worry about it. And that's like, seriously, once you have all that down, you're good to go. Money comes from everywhere, like instantly. Students in the thing, they always come in, I need money. They always got it. Like, Sabrina, you've gotten a lot of money, right? Like, if you gotten over $1 million? Yeah, if you got like over like $1 million, that they. Wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of money out there.
There is.
Trust you and like you.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to trust and like you. And a lot of people have the like part down, right? If you're talking to someone, you probably like them, they probably like you. But you got to be able to show them some stuff, right? You got to be like, all right, I know this thing. And if it doesn't impress them, then they're probably not going to. Again, it doesn't have to be I've done 1,000 houses. It could just be like, look, I have a house. I haven't done one, but here's my plan for doing one. If that plan is well thought out and they don't see holes in it, they'll invest with you. If that plan has a couple holes in it, the money's not going to happen. So if you have a money issue, you probably just have an education issue, right? There's no such thing. Like, there's so many people that do not want to flip houses. They want to invest with people that flip houses. That's a thing. That's actually a big market out there. People are like, I don't want to deal with contractors. I don't want to go find deals. I don't want to do any of that stuff that you guys probably like. Me and my old partner, he was much like that. I mean, he liked to do certain stuff, but there were certain things I enjoyed and he didn't. That was the reason I think I came in the first place. He didn't like dealing with contractors and tenants at all. He hated that part. But I didn't care. Like, I was like, whatever. I just like making some money. It's like, that's the way it is. So isn't it too risky? We talked about that earlier, right? It is. It can be risky if you don't know what you're doing, right? Obviously, risk is mitigated by having great systems and having knowledge. You mitigate risk if you know what you're doing. Like, really great investors do not have risk at all. At some level, so we just looked at this fact recently. I've done 121 houses, and I haven't lost money on a house in 121 houses. It's a lot of houses now. In my old company, we'd lose money on about, 5 to 10% of the houses we did. Just was part of doing business. And it wasn't a thing that we lost money on some because we made money on others. However, in my new smaller business, I was like, you know what, I don't want to lose any money because I don't really have all that backing that I had before. So I want to make sure that if I take a deal, it makes money. So now, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, I would have told you it's not possible to completely eliminate risk. But with the right skills, you can eliminate risk now. You just have to take and really be thoughtful about how to do it. Because this is like look at house, like flipping one house, it's like a business. And you have to look at every angle and make sure that that business is going to make money. So do you need construction experience? What do you guys think about that one? You do? You don't? Well, most of the people are probably you need some, right? So look, here's my thing. You don't have to be a contractor and do that for 10 years, but do you need to learn a little bit about that part of the business? Yes. I've had people tell me, like, well, Mike, I didn't get into this to be a contractor. 100%. I don't want you to swing a hammer and go and shovel dirt and all that. You don't need to do that. But do you need to know, like, what they're doing? So you know when they're doing it right and how much time it should take? Yeah, you're going to have to learn some stuff. I wasn't a contractor. I did flooring for a living when I got into this, so I could do one thing. I couldn't put a door in, couldn't do anything else, but I could do flooring. There's like 48 other items that happen in a house. There's about close to 49 total that you're going to do in a house. Well, I knew one of them. For whatever reason, my partner who hired me, he's like, well, you're a contractor. You could do this. Like, I'm going to bring you in. I'm like, well, awesome. I got the hardwood part. Like, I got that one's going to happen for sure. But I'm not so sure about the other 48 because I didn't even know how to do a door or anything. I just knew how to do hardwood. But what I did is I spent 4 months in my first flip, and I just got in and started learning some stuff. Learning just enough to be able to act like I knew what I was doing, right? And maybe even swing a hammer and throw a door up every once in a while just to kind of make people believe that I knew what was happening. And then they respected me, and I was earning their respect because they couldn't talk circles around me. If they said something that wasn't true, I knew. You can learn all that in like 6 months. So you can learn how to, and it's kind of best if you don't have construction experience because when people know too much about construction, it's hard for them to go from like being a retail construction person to being like an investor construction person. But if you just learn like standardized pricing for investors, then you control all this. And that's how we work, right? We don't go out and get estimates. I have standardized pricing. So I don't even call anyone in for estimates anymore. We literally just walk in a house and I know, okay, this, and this. I measure everything out. My project manager, Steve, who's Millie's husband, actually, he goes in and me and him can figure that out. I buy the house where he ever even sees it because I have standardized pricing. And then he goes in and usually says, Mike, are you crazy? Like, this is more. And then I'm like, oh, cool. I put a contingency in for that because I knew it'd probably be more. And but it's like I'm right there. I'm within, like, when I say more, it's like $5K, though. Isn't that kind of awesome if you can go in a house and know, like, within $5K, like, what it should cost? That's the standardized pricing. It lets me do that. Because see, why other people are getting estimates and they're running around saying, let me call my contractor and see what he thinks. I'm stealing the deal. I'm knocking that deal out like day one, while they're like, let me just get a bunch of people to tell me if it's a good deal. By the way, do you think your contractor is going to give you the right pricing, or do you think they're always going to tell you a high number? If they tell you a high number, what's that mean? You're going to offer less, and I'm going to steal the deal again. You can't compete in this business until you understand construction at a very minimum level, right? Go ahead, Millie.
I want to add into that, the standardized, I learned even through the standardized pricing with you guys, that has helped me dramatically with my rentals. Because I have to deal with contractors on a daily basis. And those contractors will try to give me estimates, and because of the fact that I've learned so much, from you, from Steve, from the whole industry surrounding you, because you are a great mentor, and you just have an abundance of know-how to get you to the point where you need to be, to where you can save that money.
Yeah.
I've had many contractors, especially males. A woman in this industry is not easy.
Yeah, they think you don't know anything.
Dumb. Yeah, they think I'm dumb. So 9 times out of 10, I just got an invoice for $1,300, and I was like, yeah, that's not happening. I looked at it with the standardized pricing and said, I'll give you $775, and he had to walk away with his tail between his legs. But I learned that through you.
Yeah, you got to have that. I mean, and listen, I learned it through the School of Hard Knocks, right? I realized that, like, it'd be like, oh, doing a kitchen, or let's just say, like, waterproofing a basement. It'd be like $5K, and then all of a sudden it's $7K. I'm like, what happened? Why did it go up $2K? And then it'd be like $10K. Well, you don't know. I'm like, what do you mean? It was $5K. How does, like, is it $5K or is it $10K? So then I realized, like, if you look at Home Depot and Lowe's, what do? If you go to work for Home Depot and Lowe's to do windows, they're going to be like, we pay you $100 a window. Like, they don't say, give me an estimate. They create their pricing, and then people follow their pricing. You can do that even when you're doing one flip. It's actually the best way not to be ripped off, because you don't have to, like, give people a third down. You don't have to do any of those things, right? You can create your standardized pricing. I don't even get estimates. I'm just like, here's what I pay. Do you want the work? People say yes or no. And it controls. It takes a lot of my risk out of there. And also, I know when people are trying to make moves on me, because there's a lot of contractors that are trying to play some kind of Ponzi scheme, like Bernie Madoff contractors. Go ahead.
When it comes to, like, actually, not getting estimates, if you're having trouble finding deals, and you're going and, like, trying to get estimates and stuff, you will lose. Like, to guys like Mike and whoever else is, like Sabrina, like, usually you go out and find a deal that day, and I mean, it shouldn't take longer than an hour or whatever it is. When you go up and check their house out. But if you're waiting to go find estimates, you're gonna lose. So same thing Millie's saying, like learning from Mike about like estimating and learning how to figure out renovation costs at a high level and really quickly will give you the competitive edge. Because I kid you not. Guys like me and Mike,
yeah, you can do it now too.
We'll swoop in there and take the deal as soon as it pops up on the market.
Well, it's competitive. You guys said that, right? It's competitive. It's very competitive. A lot of people want to flip houses right now, everyone in this room. And so there's a lot of people that are doing it. And with that being said, the only way you win is to have an edge over everyone, right? If everyone's doing it one way, the common belief is that you need to get estimates, get 3 estimates. Everybody's heard that, right? And then pick the middle one or something. That's pretty old school. The new way of doing it is that you create your own environment and then people live up to it. Because now you have control. With estimates, you don't. You don't know if you're going to get 3 dudes that are... Contractors are busy, they charge more. If they're not busy, they'll charge less. So your estimates go all over the place. How do you make decisions if your estimates, you don't know where they're going to be? It's too much anyhow, so we'll move on from that. I have a full-time job. Anyone? We didn't hear that one come up. Can I do it with having a full-time job? Does anybody think about how hard that might be? Yeah. Because you don't have much time, right? So, yeah, 100%. My belief is, and any student I work with, anyone I talk to, friends, I give advice, if you can't flip houses part-time with a job, you probably shouldn't do it full-time. And it's just a belief. I know it's a hard thing to hear, but if you can get it done, if you can't flip a house and say your evenings and weekends to start with and make money and prove to yourself that you have a viable business that can make sense, you probably should not give up that day job unless you have money to support yourself. Some people have a little bit of money and they can go for like a year, 18 months while they're figuring it out. The reason I give you that advice is because like house flipping money is slow. Like you literally might not make a check for your first 6 months. And if you're waiting on that check, how do you pay the bills? So my belief is I worked for 13 months with a job, and then every night, every weekend, I was flipping houses. Once I'd done about 3 or 4 houses, I was like, I had a bunch of money in the bank because I wasn't spending it because I had a job. Like, how cool is that? If you got your job, you can live on your job, take every dollar you make from flipping, put it in the bank. Next thing you know, you got like 80 to 100K in the bank. Well, quitting your job is pretty safe at that point. Like even like 50K, it just depends on what you make. I have a higher level student I've been working with for about 2 years now. He just quit his job 4 months ago. It took him 18 plus months to quit his job. He made $250K a year though. So it was not easy for him to quit his job because like it's a lot of money. So it was a big thing when he quit his job recently. I was like, we got there finally. He had to, he lives in a big house, so he kind of needs to make that 250K. He would not, I don't think he'd make it on like 100, so he really needs that income. So depending on what you make, if you make 50K, probably quit sooner. Right? It's easy to place 50K in income. You make 100, it's going to take a little longer. For me, it took 13 months, and I was making about 100K a year. So that's kind of where I was. But again, if you can't do it part-time, like nothing's going to change full-time. Just isn't. If you suck at it part-time, you'll suck at it full-time. So get your stuff together and get it, and you'll be in good shape. So that's the way it is. And then, so 96% of the people I've worked with and know had jobs getting into this. I just don't know many people that quit their jobs and jumped in. Usually it puts so much pressure on you if you just jump into this and you have to make money. It's a hard business to do this with. I would not recommend it because the pressure will make you make bad choices. When you're like, I got to pay the bills. Well, money and flipping is not quick. It's like this puzzle that you keep working on until you get it all finished. And when you get it finished, money just starts coming in. And I've seen people do it in 6 months, 3 months. I've seen people do it in 10 years. But as long as you keep working on the puzzle, when you finally get that puzzle together, your life's going to change. But I don't know how long it takes for everyone. I know with students, it's a lot faster than most because, they're able to kind of just, skip ahead from everyone else. They don't have to figure everything out the hard way. And that's kind of what I did for a while. So how did I do it, right? I guess that's the next question is like, how did I kind of get all this stuff going? And I've dealt with all these problems, by the way. No money, no time. Nothing, all those things. Contractors didn't know anything, other than flooring. I had that locked up. So basically my background is, for people who don't know, is I grew up in Brooklyn, got in a bunch of trouble as a teenager, ended up in jail as a 17-year-old, but decided to change my life around and make a really big change. I tell a lot of people my first flip was myself. The reason my life sucked so bad as a teenager is because I really just wasn't a great person. And no one around me was. I grew up in Brooklyn. It's a rough neighborhood. And, crazy stuff happens. Like someone got shot in front of Millie's house not long ago, right? Like it's on her camera, by the way. So don't commit any crimes in front of Millie's house. You're going down. Like totally. Like, but really bad stuff happens there. And honestly, I got in trouble and I decided to change my life. So my first flip was me. Because if you're going to flip houses, you got to flip yourself first, right? The main reason most people aren't flipping houses is that their mindset's holding them back. They have beliefs like, I can't do it with a job, I don't have enough money, can't find any good contractors, it's too competitive, right? All these things are very real. They're very real things that are true. But the question is, when you get that mindset and you make a big shift in yourself and you become a different person, then you're going to find ways to get around all those problems. You'll solve those problems very quickly because you'll just look at how others have done it, right? In this room, many have done it already, just in this small room. So flipping myself was like my big journey. And I'm still on that journey 20 years later. It's been all over 20 years, 23 years now almost. And I've been just working on myself, self-improvement. My mom and I did an emotional intelligence program like 18 months ago. The hardest thing we ever did, 6 months. Oh my God, she did it. She was stressed, I was stressed. They stretched us out. And they made us like really look at ourselves. And they helped our relationship get better. Mine and her relationship's better since we've done that. I hope you think so. Yeah, it is. And it was great. Because we realized, like, we're successful at business.
It changed my life.
Yeah, I know. You've been, like, my mom doesn't like money. She never did. So now she's making some money, and she just pays for people to go to the program. She literally did. She had, like, a kid was cutting her grass, and she was like, you know, you could really use this. I'm going to tell you the story because it's actually pretty impactful, and it's leading to where we're going to head. The guy was cutting the grass, and this is Alex, right? Alex, and very quiet kid, nice kid, but I don't think I've heard him. I've known him for years, and I haven't heard him say 3 words, right? He's just very quiet. Never yeah, you'll say like a whole sentence to him, he'd be like, oh. And that's like, if you get that, you're lucky. He says nothing. So she's like, you should go to Choice. And it's like $2,500 she paid for him to go to Choice. She convinced me to help with the airfare because I had points for my Southwest card I used for flipping. So it was like a lot of money, right? He had to go there like 4 or 5 times. He had to go, and he went. He came out of there such a changed kid that his mom cried when he came home because she's like, he just was talking like nonstop. I've never heard him talk this much. Like, she's his mom. She's like, he just said more to me in like the last hour than I've heard him say in the last 10 years. So it changed his life. And Mom, that's awesome. I mean, she can do that. It's like, that's her purpose, right? That's her life's work. That's what we do this for. It's not just to make money. It's like, we need money first. Like, we got to support our family and all that, make sure we got food, but we got to make sure we help others too. And then she loves doing that. I always joke and tease her that she don't like money because she'll give her last dollar for that. But she said the She Shark is coming out now. She's going to save some money. But she's helping a lot, right? If we're talking about doing some kind of foundation and a lot of things, we just haven't, like, we've been busy and we haven't prioritized it. And that's probably more on me because I always get busy with everything else. My way of giving back, by the way, is what I'm doing. That's why I don't charge for these. I pay for this. It costs me like $1,500 a month. Sometimes I get a student. Sometimes I don't. Doesn't matter. I still do it either way. That's how I give back. I do a lot of free training. I spend a lot of money with Delante, camera people, everybody helping me. And that's my big way of giving back. My first 2 years of coaching, I lost money. Like $80,000 the first year, by the way. Next year, I made like most of it back. And this year, I broke a profit, $30K. Pretty sweet, right? 3 years of work, I made $30K. It's kind of awesome. But, I mean, that's what I make on a house. So when people are like, but you're charging money. Well, yeah, I'm charging money because, like, you know what? When I did it for free, nobody did any of the work. And it was like, really, it wasn't why I was doing it. I was doing it to help others. And, like, if they don't want to help themselves, right, they don't want to invest in themselves and, like, do that, then that's bad for me, too. It was like bringing me down. So I literally just started charging money to weed out people that weren't serious or ready. Sometimes you're very serious. You're just not in the right place yet. And everything we do in life has to have good timing with it, right? We got to be able to back it up. So not always the good timing. So think about who you need to become to have what you want. This is a really deep question to ask yourself. Are you really in the place right now to be that person? I mean, have you done the internal work where you could be strong enough to actually flip a house or make a big investment or make a big change? If you're not, work on it. But it's something you get real with yourself about. Who do you need to become? I realized I had to become, to run the business that I want, I had to become a better person because being a jerk didn't work. Right? I should coin that. Being a jerk doesn't work. That's funny. It doesn't actually. It rhymes, I know. Totally. No, it doesn't work though. I mean, look, you'll get things done when you're like that, but it's hard to keep really people that really care about you and want to do big stuff. So I've really gotten rid of all that. In my company, I try to have none of that anymore. And we try to keep a culture and environment. It's very friendly. We called my company Hippie House Flipping for a bit because we were a little too laid back about stuff. So we're trying to get more back on track. I was traveling a bunch, but now with this last year, we've been working on getting everything really organized and just taking it to the next level again. That's what we do. But there's that balance because I should have called it Nazi house flipping before that. It was kind of crazy. So right now, I've done almost 1,100 houses, wholesale deals, different like wholesales, renovations, some auctions. If you guys know what that is, got some properties I've auctioned off. I only work about 15 to 20 hours a week in this business. And some weeks when I get really busy with coaching, I work like 5 or 10 hours. And my business still runs because I have the right people behind me. It's the only reason that can happen. I have great people supporting me that I know will do it. We've put together systems. They follow them. We're all good. Everyone's great. Everyone gets to make money, gets opportunity. And that's really awesome. That's the business I wanted to have. So the big part of what I think is probably my biggest thing is being able to help people overcome like whatever that fear is, that thing holding them back. Like, what is that? And it seems like we're talking a lot about this stuff, but like 80% of everything you do is mindset. If you're not getting results right now, like take a deep look inside. You're your own biggest problem. You're the one sabotaging you. It's not the market. It's no one else. Like, you're stopping yourself. Now, do we all do that? Don't feel bad about it. I do it all the time. That's why I have coaches still today, because I need someone to come and take a deep, objective look at what I do and make sure that I'm not acting all crazy. Because I'm human like everyone else. I'm not perfect, even though I've done a lot of houses. I still make mistakes. But an outside person helps me with that. I have a coach I work with weekly who's an E-Myth coach, if anybody knows E-Myth. He's actually like one of the first ones ever. He's been doing it for 30 years. Great book if anyone, who's read the E-Myth in here? E-Myth, like E and then myth. Like actually he says, we were just talking about myths, debunking myths. It's a business book, and it talks a lot about some cool stuff. So I recommend it. If you guys haven't read it, you should check it out. Couple core books if you're new, like E-Myth is a great one. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Come on, if you haven't read that, come on, get with the program. That's a great book. That's just a fun read, by the way. Like most stuff's really dry. That's actually a very entertaining book. It's like I wish that was the book I wrote. Like such a good book. So a little bit of money. So this is what we talk about, right? Like making extra money so you can fund your life's work. Everyone, this is actually my high-level mastermind. Everyone in this group is doing awesome stuff. They're not just making money from flipping, but they're giving back. Church, friends, family, whatever their cause is. Because the big thing we focus on, like Delonte, right? He's getting ready to be a big actor. He uses the money he makes to fund what he wants to do. Like a lot of times we just think like, I want to make some money, but what do you want to use the money for? Once you have it, what's the next step? I mean, money is nice, but is it to spend more time with your kids, family, travel more? You know, what's your life's work? What is the big thing that you're going to create and leave here? I hope that what I'm teaching you guys today is something that'll go on for a long time. That's why I work so hard to be a good coach, because I want to make sure that what I'm doing, this becomes my life work. I don't have kids. I don't know if I will have kids, but I have this. And this is something I'm going to continue to keep working on. I have students that have gotten, like I've made big change, and I make a little change. My mom makes a little change, but when you take the whole community as a whole, it's like big change, right? Because everyone's doing so much and it's compounding. So like think about what your life's work is. I know it's hard to think about that if you're like, I need to make some money. Yeah, because you've got to solve that first, right? We've got to have a little money before we can get into the life's work. But I want you to think about that because the life's work will actually drive the money piece. When you get a really big why and a big passion, it'll go make you get past those fears so that you can get results. You have to have something to connect to. My coach taught me that 3 years ago, and when I learned that, everything changed for me. Before, when I was just making money to make money, it was like, I don't know, it was weird. It just didn't work all that well. So yeah, you want to know the 5 steps? I know like it took a long time to get there. They were like, let's get to the good stuff. I'll jump right in. So first, there's 5 steps to really being able to, like, these are the 5 keys to what I do and how I'm able to get all these houses. And first is you got to pick a great neighborhood. Anybody know what a surge neighborhood is? Going up in value? I like you, because I only told it to like 4 people, but I feel like you were in the group and heard it. Yeah, well, it's going up in value, but here's what I consider a surge neighborhood. There's certain neighborhoods you can invest in. You're going to win because you're investing in them. And let me just explain why. So this is like step number 1 if you're new, or even if you're already doing this and you're struggling. The first step is you got to pick the right neighborhood. A surge neighborhood is where it's that perfect balance of people who think the neighborhood sucks versus people who think it's awesome. Because you're going to buy from the people who think it sucks, and then you're going to sell it to the people who think it's awesome. Right? You go to Severna Park, beautiful neighborhood, but everyone thinks it's awesome. Who are you going to buy it from? So you can't get a discount. So a lot of times people, when they come to me and they're like, Mike, I'm struggling and I can't get a deal, I'm like, where are you working at? Like, well, you're working in D.C. Well, that's your problem. D.C. is on the wrong end of the surge. Surge neighborhood is that perfect balance, right? It's like just plenty of opportunity, right? A lot of investment, a lot of stuff happening, but also plenty of people think it's a good enough neighborhood to buy. All of our money. Like we have a Hamilton as a neighborhood for us. That's my surge neighborhood. And I've got Glen Burnie, Brooklyn Park, all the areas that I've lived in. Obviously, I've done well in over the years. But I have one neighborhood I've done 200 flips in. Like just one neighborhood. You can make a complete living by picking just one neighborhood. There's many of them in Maryland, by the way. There's not like just one secret pond. There's a bunch of them. But it's finding that perfect first-time home buyer's neighborhood. It's the area where things are old enough that there's going to be plenty of people that need your help. Because they're not going to sell at a discount if the houses are newer or nice. They're going to need to be in bad enough shape for you to bring value to it. So that's step number 1. You got to pick a great neighborhood. When I say great, though, remember, great doesn't mean where you want to live when you make all your money. It's kind of that perfect, like, okay, I don't have a lot of money, and it's just good enough for me to live in it. That's the perfect neighborhood. Some examples. Anybody have examples of really good areas around here where a lot of investment's going on? Yeah. Aberdeen? Yeah, that's actually a really good neighborhood. How about you? Overly. When I say Hamilton, I mean that, like Parkville, Overly. I've done 200 flips there. It's a really good neighborhood. And it's not even close to me. It's 40 minutes from my house. I live in Glen Burnie, so it's like literally 40 minutes from where I live, and I got to go through traffic. But I'm like, fortunately, I just keep getting pounded with deals. It's crazy. So it's really good. And Faisal, your area is a surge neighborhood for sure, where you did your first flip, which is like Gwen Oak, 21207. There's just these really nice neighborhoods. When you pick the right neighborhood to invest in, finding deals gets easy. But if you're in the wrong neighborhood, guess what? I can't even teach you a technique to make that work. And now even I only get some deals. Like I live 10 minutes from Severna Park, and I've done 3 flips out of like 800 in Severna Park. And I don't think I made money on them, by the way, because that's just not a perfect neighborhood. I wanted to do stuff there because it was close to home. But if we get into that perfect neighborhood, now like Brooklyn, where I grew up, would be on the wrong end. It would be nobody wants to move into it. Plenty of people want to sell, so you can buy all day, but then you don't have that balance. You need the balance of people want to buy. So I'll give you an example of one. So you can't be in too bad of a neighborhood or too good of a neighborhood. Just that 1 or 2 steps up where the first-time home buyer wants to buy. Usually ARV of like 150 to 250. Usually it'll tell you if you're in a really great neighborhood because that's a really good price point. About 70% of the buyer's pool is looking for houses at that price point. So when you go to sell, if you priced it right, you've designed it right, you're 0 issue selling. Like we usually get multiple offers on every house all the time. I mean, very few houses ever sit on the market. Pretty rare, actually. So surge neighborhood, that's step number 1. Pick that. If you don't have it, then find it or ask some questions. I gave you a couple examples. If you're in D.C., go to PG County. Right, in PG County, very specific, just certain areas that get the lowest price point PG if you're going to be in PG. If you come looking at stuff that's 400K, it's going to be tougher. But there's some PG County stuff that's like 250, 200. That's going to be your best PG County house because that's going to be more conducive because that's usually like a semi-rough neighborhood. Like I feel like Sabrina, you had that house, right? Didn't somebody break in? They were sleeping on the bed or something. Like yeah. Meanwhile, we had like 4 offers on it. I got to tell you about the other one. My mom, like the people broke into the house. While the guys were there, they just walked in the house, locked herself in the bathroom, and started smoking crack. Meanwhile, I listed it for $325. We got $30K over list on it with 9 offers. So that's a surge neighborhood. Like you got people breaking in and smoking crack, but it's it was so desirable because it was 5 minutes from DC. Now it wasn't that normal that happens, but I mean it did happen. If you're in a really great neighborhood, I think the likelihood of someone randomly running your house and smoking crack is pretty low. But so I was like a little nervous about that. I was like, holy crap, are we going to be able to sell it? And then that's when I realized I'm in a surge neighborhood. Like there are so many people that want it in that neighborhood, even though it was rough. They were just like, when things are really desirable because of location or what's going on, they will run out the riffraff. They literally will just run them out and they take over because at $325K, this was 5 minutes from DC. If they get to DC, that's $600-700K for the same house, up to $1 million. So this was the only place they could afford to live. Is why this is such a hot neighborhood. So that's a surge neighborhood. I didn't think it was that bad, but a couple random people, obviously, some sketchy people running around. But that's a great neighborhood. So pick a good neighborhood. When you find the perfect neighborhood and you start marketing, it'll start working. So estimating exact prices investors will pay. One thing I also want to know, when you learn that area, you start to understand like what other investors will pay in that neighborhood. Why is that important? Anybody know like why you want to know what other investors will pay? That's one good reason too, for sure. So you don't pay too much, but sometimes they're paying too much. So you kind of have to know what works for you. But if they're paying too much, sometimes I'll find an area where people are paying way more than I'll pay, and then I still get to buy the house and just sell it to them. So I'll be like, I'll tell people, I'm usually honest when I wholesale. I'll let them know like I can't buy it at 100, but if you want to put it under contract, I'll show it to some of my investors and see if they want to buy it. And I do, and then usually I can make 10 or 20K as an assignment fee. That's why I do it that way. But you got to know like what other people are paying. Sometimes they're paying too much, so don't use it as your means of what you pay because I have seen neighborhoods where people are paying 20K too much for whatever random reason. But let them do that. We don't care. So you want to know that because you can make quick assignment fees. And look, wholesaling is how you're going to put some money in your pocket. You're not going to be able to do every deal. When you start to get abundance with finding deals, you're going to have to sell some off. I would hope that if I had my choice, I would never wholesale a deal ever. I would just rehab all of them. But last year I wholesaled like 20 because I got way more deals than I could handle and I had to sell some off to people. So 3 really is learning to do those estimates like we talked about earlier, right? You got to be great. I feel like we jumped into some of these, but it's learning to be great at estimates, standardized pricing. It's the key is you got to be able to pick the neighborhood, right? You got to be able to look online, say it's worth this much money, then walk through the house. And you got to be pretty precise on what that renovation cost is going to be quickly. I walk through a house with comps. I usually take this computer you're looking at right here. This is in a backpack, just like any computer that doesn't die in 10 minutes. If you got one that doesn't last but 10 minutes, you probably got to get one that has like these Macs actually hold their really long battery life. So yeah, they're really awesome. But I go to a house. I literally sit there with my Mac. I put it on Wi-Fi with my phone, and I make a decision right on site. And I'm trying to do the deal in my car. You know why? Can anybody guess why I'm trying to do it right there? Good.
You'll
You
want
raised
the
your
next
hand,
guy
so I
to
feel
show up.
Sorry, go ahead.
You'll want the next guy to show up and make the deal.
That's true. I usually stand outside there and be like, yeah, there's some problems inside. You can't go in. I hold the key like, no, I don't know where the key is. Yeah, somebody's cracking the bathroom. Exactly. Good one, man. Yeah, dude, you don't want to go in there, man. It's bad. It's bad. And I'm like, got the realtor on the phone trying to get the deal done. Like, yeah, I'm pretty aggressive about it. I mean, I want to get the deal done. But I do it for speed is one reason. But secondarily, what I found with myself, if I go drive home, I forget to make the offer sometimes. I'll get busy with other stuff. Next thing you know, I put it in 2 days later. Well, I can tell you what the outcome of 2 days later is. If it's a good deal, it's gone. It's gone. So like being able to get on the phone, trying to work it out right there. I've worked out so many deals that were on like 3 hours on the market, and I was willing to give them like 10K over list because they listed it low. And they're like, you're going to give us 10K over list? Well, they didn't know that probably they would have got 20 or 30K if they'd have waited a week. But I was the early person in, and all the slow pokes that pay more money come like 4 to 5 days in. The investors that are smart come day 1 through 3. So I'm only competing with other people like me day 1 through 3. Day 3 through like 10, I'm competing with people that might not know the numbers. And the meaning they might pay too much, meaning none of us get to win. So speed is really important, and just getting stuff done. I just got a house off of HUD last week, and I put the offer in. It came on the market 12:01 and put the offer in, and I got it that morning. Like 8 hours on the market. So, but I had already looked at it ahead of time and planned was the key. Speed, right? I didn't want to wait for everyone. Everybody else like, I'm going to go see that if it doesn't sell. If it's available, I'm going to check it out. And they were all mad when I took it. Because it's speed, right? We got to be able to steal deals from other investors, and that's why we want to be able to do all these things well. So, analyzation. You guys have who've come before know that I have like a deal analyzer that I've sold before. It's my complete system on how I look at deals, analyze the numbers, and put it all through. Like being able to analyze the numbers. There's 4 critical numbers that you care about. Like you need to know like what your ROI is going to be, like what for the money you're putting out. It's really important. You guys have heard of like ARV or like MAO, like maximum allowable offer. Basically, it's the ratio between like how much you buy it for, how much you put into the renovation, and what the difference of what it's worth. So you guys heard the 70% rules. Anybody heard that before? Like you pay 70% of whatever the ARV is. That's pretty inaccurate. 70% works at a certain price point, but there's times where 65 is necessary, and there's times when 75 works also. So a key to this, the value I want to give you with this is that you have to have a sliding scale depending on profit, depending on the time you're going to be in there, how much risk you're taking, whether there's crazy people in the house doing crazy things. Like these all are risk factors. And you got to have a way of mitigating your risk and balancing your risk out. So some areas I pay 65%, some I paid as high as 78%. The last one I paid 78% for, by the way, I made $78,000 on. Because it was in an area, the reason I paid 78% is it showed 40K in profit. I bought it for $280,000, put about 60 into it, and it sold for like $450. I thought it was only going to sell for $385, so it seemed to be about a 40K deal. So it was 78% PG County. I don't do a ton in PG County, but it made 40K. The reason I didn't care about the 40K is I knew I could be wrong on the ARV and it could potentially go for more. Ended up going for like 60 to 70,000 more than what I thought. That's why I made all the money on top of it. So yeah, I got like a really good payday on it. That happens sometimes. So when I'm in an area that I know has a big upside, well, I'm more willing to pay a little higher than usual because of the big upside. Now you take like Baltimore, Overly, that's going to be like pretty much is what it is. Yeah, you see 250, it'll probably be 250. You're not going to usually get anyone to pay 300 unless you have something special, which most of them are all the same, so you don't really get that. PG County, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, I've gotten anywhere from 30 to 50K over list like quite often there. Same thing in DC. You see that happen all the time in DC. Things sell for 900K. Next thing you know, like multiple offers sells for $1 million. In that area, would you be trying to pay 65% in that area? No, I mean, you'd be lucky if you get one for 80%, honestly, right? I mean, the way that people pay because they're really banking on that upside. So knowing when to adjust what you offer is really big, right? And just can't go around with like standardized, like, okay, I'll pay 70%. Because in some scenarios, when you should be paying 65, you've actually paid too much. Edmondson Village is a great example. I've done a lot of flips there. Selling for about 130 to 150. If I pay 65 to 66% there, though, because I'm going to make like 15K if I bought it for 70. Like, I don't want to make 15K. I don't mind 15K. I just want that to be an accident or something went wrong and I made 15K. Because if you start with 15K, that can turn into zero or me writing a check very easily if some stuff happens. So I'm really big on making sure when I buy a deal, there's a little bit of room in there for me to make mistakes. Because are we all going to make mistakes? Right? Is it cool? It is cool. Make that shift. This is a business where resistance to making mistakes will actually cost you money. So you've got to be like way willing to do it. Now, I'm not saying go out and lose your life savings. It's calculated risk is the word of the day, calculated risk. You got to take, you cannot go out and be stupid about it. I don't endorse that, but you got to take some risk. If you're not willing to take any risk, then it's going to be hard to make money. Right? You can put your money in a CD if you want no risk. I think that's no risk. I don't think anything can happen with that. But you get like 1% back, or I don't know, like 0.25%. I don't even know what it is, but I don't go to the bank. There's a picture. They always ask, do you want me to, they're like, hey, can we invest some of your money? I'm like, no. Like, why not? We're going to get you like 1.5%. I'm like, does that work? Like 1.5%? Seriously? Like, I feel like I'd do anything with it besides that. That's the worst thing ever to put your money in the bank. I mean, it's safe, though, and that's why people do it. More money's in the bank than anywhere in the world because it's safe. So, but think about, this is our whole environment. We're so worried about being safe that we don't give ourselves opportunity to make money. Because there's some really safe ways you can make 8 to 10% too. Like my hard money lenders charge me 8 to 10%, and they make, I don't know, I've never had a deal that's never, I've done 800 deals. One guy I did 300 with. It's never been a late payment. And, you know, I just write checks if I lose money. That's pretty safe, and they're making on average about 10% versus like 1%. You know, the difference, you take $100,000 at 1%, in 30 years it'll be like 140. If you take it at same 100 at 10%, in 30 years it's like millions. So it's the difference between getting 1% and 10%. You got to make sure you know that. So pretty important, right? Minimize your risk. Know you're going to take some risk, but make sure it's calculated. It's smart risk. And that's what we do. So that's kind of the thing. This last part is when we get all those things together, all you have to do now is like take the fact that you picked the right neighborhood, that you've went in, you know exactly what the cost or what it's going to, you know what it's going to sell for, the ARV and what it's worth. And then you also know how much it's going to cost. And then you add all that up, and you can make power offers. We call these power offers for a reason, because we get deals accepted when we hit the right number. That number, that perfect number, is when you're going to make money, but you're also going to be competitive enough to beat other people. Because you're not paying $80K for a $70K renovation. That $10K is the $10K that makes you lose deals. I know this sounds hard, like it's like, where will I find someone to do it for $70? Well, standardized pricing, you'll find someone to do it for $70. The more people you ask, I promise you they're out there. Like we have a funnel we run right now on Craigslist that literally just gets me a contractor a day. I don't need them anymore because I ran the funnel 9 months ago and I have too many contractors. Like Delonte actually helped me with it. So I'm someone smart. Younger guys know how to do that stuff. Like we actually created a funnel and people were just applying. And all the work that I hated doing before, I literally just automatically gets done now. I have like 50 contractors that are waiting to be interviewed right now, sitting in my email. I don't need to call them though because I've got a great team. I got a great team because I became abundant. Instead of interviewing like one dude a month, I was like, you know what, I'm going to step it up. Rashad and Delonte interviewed 100 contractors over 4 days as a challenge. Like 100. And they got, how many did you get? Like 2?
Yeah, maybe
2. 1 in a possible. Like 1.5. You got 1.5 contractors. Hey, with 3 days of work, though, it seems like a lot, but they did 3 days of work and they got 1 contractor. And what's 1 contractor worth to us? Right? So, I mean, when you really put it into perspective, not a big deal, is it? Like, I bet anyone here having contractor problems, how many did you interview? Like 2? 1? Couple? Yeah, not many, right? I mean, that's what I did for years. And at best, you got to get lucky to get a great contractor when you interview a couple. I mean, you're not saying you won't get one, but it's more you're like hoping to hit the lottery essentially, because they're not. Look, it's a numbers game. You might have to talk to 20 to get the great one. When you get the great one, though, that you can build a business around multiple great contractors. I have 4 right now, and I can do about 30, 40 houses a year that I renovate off of those 4 people. And they're very reliable, but I've had to go through some crazy people for sure. But no doubt that happens. So when you get all those, I mean, if you guys had all that dialed in, would you believe that you could do this? Like for the people that want to do it, like if you really knew all 5 of those steps and you like got that down, how long do you think that should take to learn? Like, I mean, if you had to just guess. A year? Who else has some answers? A couple months, 6 months? It really depends on the person. So I've seen it take a year. I've seen it take 3 months. It took me 7 years. Now, I'm not, just because I had a lot of different coaches, but they were teaching me, each coach gave me something great, but no coach had like a system where they were like, Mike, these are the things. Most of my coaches had done flipping before, but they weren't currently flipping. Okay, they weren't really actively in the business. So a lot of what they had taught me kind of went out of date. All right, it was good stuff. It made sense. You hear it from all the gurus. You always hear like the 70% rule, but no one was saying that like the 70% rule works sometimes, but not all the times. And when I really started to dial in on that with a really high level coach is when my business started to change. And that's why I'm very detailed about this stuff, right? It's really important to have all of it. But it can take people a couple months. I've seen people learn it in 3 weeks. If you have transferable skills, if you flipped a few houses, you'll learn it faster. If you've never flipped a house, it's going to take a little bit longer. You're going to have to bring more in. But it's your ability to take in information. And I have to tell you, I dropped out the 10th grade, so my ability to take in information was not at a high level when I got into this. Like, my head was spinning when I was new at this. Like, the first couple months, I was like, what? Like, seriously, 4 months in, I was like, what is an assignment? I feel like you guys all know what an assignment is right now. Like, yeah, maybe it was my coach didn't explain it well. I don't know, because it took me 4 months to figure out what an assignment was. Like, yeah, I'm not trying to, like, dumb myself down, but it's the truth. I remember being overwhelmed by it, thinking, like, man, it's just so much. But then about 5 or 6 months in, I started getting it. And I started being able to tell others what he was saying. And like, oh, no, you do this. And once that happened, it was like I owned it. My confidence got high. It took me 9 months to get my first deal with a coach. Or actually 9 months on my own. I got a coach. It took about a month after I got the coach. But, yeah, I got a deal quickly once I stopped doing everything wrong. But on my own, I was about 9 months. I kept trying with that partner, the one that had the money. And my fear was he was going to leave with his money and do something else. But I got lucky and actually got a deal before he left. So basically, I think we talked about this. You're going to get a lot of confidence. You can do all this stuff, even if you got a full-time job. 5 steps. Any questions around the 5 steps? Anything before we jump and go forward? You guys want to know? We're almost done for people who have been here a bit. I really appreciate you guys staying focused. But any questions at all in any 5 steps? Go ahead.
In the offers, our offers, I've made a lot of bids and the brokers will say, hey, we've got a whole bunch of bids, we're holding up for 10 days, and
Yeah.
then they have the best and final. How do you break through that process?
Mm-hmm. I mean, in that particular situation, it's not.
I'm not overpaying.
Got it. That's why you're not winning. You have to overpay to win in that situation. So that's not a power offer when you make an offer in a situation where you really only have one way to win. That means you overpaid. That's not very desirable time.
You got a realtor involved.
Get rid of them.
Really?
Well, yeah. I don't have a realtor. What's the first thing I taught you?
The seller has a realtor.
Oh, yeah. So if they put you in a situation where they make everybody wait, it's not an optimal situation. This is the key to getting good at this is you're like, oh, okay, there's like these 15 things I can do. There's only 1 or 2 of them that are optimal. The other 10 or 15 are going to make you like, come hire me because you're going to be like, what the heck's going on? I'm getting like pissed with this, and it's hard. Because that's what's the key to like making a business great is figuring out like what is the 20% that's getting me all my return. And I recognize there's a couple patterns. Like when I get in a situation where they're like, I'm going to hold everything for 10 days and we're going to take the highest offer. Well, I don't win very much in that situation. I would actually be very fearful if I did. I would think I paid too much because that's really the only way you win. So what I focus on is the times when I can get in quickly, times maybe when it's a private seller, the times when people don't see the same value as me. I have won in scenarios where there was multiple offers and held for 10 days, but I had an advantage. I knew something about the property that I could do that they didn't know, that the average person didn't know. So it's a volume game. If you're just looking at every property and focusing on the few times where that happened, it's going to happen a lot. But to be fair, you keep going back to the same thing that's not working versus trying something different because there is no way to really hack things. Some things are unbeatable. They're not the best use of your time. So trying to hire like one contractor would be like, I would almost consider unbeatable. Like if you've got lucky and got one guy, that would be so awesome. I have a student who did like 40 houses with one guy, first guy I hired. Like, that's the only time I ever heard that, by the way. I got one story about that in my life of being in this business. The rest of them, like 20 contractors, and then they got their groove and did it. So instead of taking like 5 years to go through 20 contractors, we teach you how to do it in a couple months. Like, get to the right people. And standardized pricing is the first step of that. Like, so power offers means you just have to like find a situation that's most optimal for you and that you can win in based on what you got going on. Right? Good.
And they're like 11,000, 5,000.
No.
You recommend buying the whole block or just not even messing with any of them?
No, don't mess with any of them. I don't know what you're going to do with the whole block.
Yeah.
You just have a whole block of junk. No, they're very appealing. Like when I was new at the game, I bought probably like our 5th deal. I met this guy that had 7 properties, and he sold them to me for like $1,500, all 7 of them. I put them under contract, and I was like, I'm going to make some money. I was going to, like, I think I had them for $150 each, and I gave them a $1 deposit on each house. It was like $7. And, like, we're riding around. It was, like, kind of the funniest thing we ever experienced. We're riding, like, let's go see all these properties we just bought for $1,500. Like, they got to be decent. So, one, we kept riding around the block, and, like, we couldn't find it. And we eventually figured out that there was no house there. So we bought, like, a house that wasn't even there, and we were joking. It was like, someone stole the house. Like, I guess the city knocked it down or something. It wasn't even there. And we messed with those for 5 months, and I could not get anyone to give me, like, $300 each for them. I was just thinking I'll buy them for, like, $150, sell them for, like, $300 or $400. I'm going to make a couple bucks because I'm super slick. No, I ended up losing $7. He wouldn't give me my $7 back. So that was in, like, 5 months of my life. So no, the issue with those is that they sell them for 11, but maybe they're like 40 to fix up. But now you're 51 in, and they're only worth 30 fixed up. So they have what's called negative equity. They literally are worth less. You couldn't even give them away for free. So anytime you get on the big board up streets, war zone, you stay away from that. So you got to go. Remember, I was saying you don't want to be in the area no one wants to be in. That's definitely the area no one wants to be in. You got to get like a step or two of them, like where people are actually living. You can have some random goofballs running around, but they got to be people living there. The first sign is anything that's all boarded up. That's unsafe too, by the way. Yeah, for anyone. Yeah, I grew up in some rough stuff, so I was like, I've been in places I shouldn't be, and my friend said, Mike, you got to stop doing that. Like, he's like, you got a lot of good stuff going on. You're gonna get killed one day, and I like never really thought of it like that. And he's like, I was like, yeah, I don't know why I'm just running in, because I used to know, like, if you run in like you're the cops, no one messes with you. I was like running the house, I got a flashlight, like running around, and I'd go see it, but I never made any money there. I did this for like the first year and a half I was in business, and definitely I can chalk it up to being like a bad use of my time. I just never have any scenario of me making money. Now, you go 1 or 2 steps up, there's some opportunity. So just look for streets people live on. You can sell them if people live on them. If no one lives on them, then they're going to make those parks or something eventually, because that's actually Baltimore's biggest issue, is that we have a really huge base of homes that are just vacant and completely abandoned that have negative value. That's why taxes are double in Baltimore over like AA County and PG County and everything, because you're paying for all the vacant homes. We have a really high vacant home ratio of vacant homes that have no value, though, so stay away from those. Is that good? Oh, cool. Awesome. Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, not from our part of the business, but yes, they're used on retail sales, yes. But what we do, inspectors will probably get your offer denied for sure. Do you use an inspector, like when you're buying houses, like the flip? It would be nice if we could. If you're buying them privately, you can do whatever you want. But if you're buying them from the bank, you pretty much have no chance if you put in an inspection. They'll literally I've had them accept an offer from me, $20K less than an offer from someone else I knew that wanted to live in the house, and they turned his offer down and took mine. Because $20K less, they just don't like taking contingencies, because they found out about a year ago that 50+% of people who put offers in that are contingent never settle. So when they got these assets, they want to get rid of them. They don't want to mess around. So yeah, you probably can't do that. If it's structurally defective, like, first of all, you're going to see something that's so structurally defective that it's going to cost a lot of money. You'll notice that. If it's got little issues, they're fixable. $1,000, $2,000, a couple $1,000s. Not a big deal. But if it's something so bad it's $10,000, you're going to probably see that. It's not going to be something you can hide. It's going to be like a wreck. So you'll know. Floors will be really, you'll see it. So it's not something that'll be hidden. I don't think they're underground. I've never heard of them being underground. It's usually like the walls, right? The 4 walls on the outside might have some cracks or something going on. So a lot of people ask me, it's a great question, because a lot of people are asking me, like, what about like if there's a structural problem? It's really not as big of a deal as it's made out to be, be thought. When there's any structural issue, I actually win a lot of deals. Remember talking about power offers? Give me a big structural issue that costs $10K, I know how to do it for $5. And a lot of investors walk in and say, oh, I don't buy stuff with structural problems. So now all of a sudden I get a deal, that's my advantage, right? So mold, all that stuff's great. I mean, you have a complete molded basement. I've had bought one time 7 foot of water in the basement. No one would touch it. And I'm like, just pump it out and put a waterproofing system in it, dude. It's like $6K to fix it. I mean, I got a great deal because it scared off other people. So that's when the power offers come in, is when you know something or you have the ability to do something that others don't. right? So when you hear all these things that are like these hard, fast rules, like never pay more than 70%, okay, well, you're going to miss out on some great opportunity. Don't buy houses on busy streets. Don't buy houses with foundation problems. Like, these aren't bad advice. They just have to be taken with a grain of salt, and you have to think through it a little bit and say, okay, it's busy street, but I see 3 other houses. Like John and Jay, we just sold a house for them on Northern Parkway and Hartford Road, super busy. But like, we got $230,000 for it in like a week. It would have went to settlement if the hackers didn't take over Baltimore. It was supposed to settle like tomorrow or something.
No, it's
Oh, is it going to settle still?
How you can get around that is you can get a title company to insure it without the water bill, the final water bill.
Yeah.
They'll do it. And that's
Well, hopefully we don't have to
what
teach
the
that, because I
title
hope that's not going to become a thing with Baltimore, where they're being hacked. I don't know. They end up paying the money. So yeah, there's ways, right? I mean, not saying that I'm endorsing like go buy stuff on busy streets or with foundations, but when we know what to do with it, then these aren't really issues. These actually become bigger opportunities than issues. So a lot of beginners will see these as like, oh my God, that's a problem. We all look at it as you get smarter, you start to look at things, oh, that's an opportunity. Because see, anything that people generally think of as a problem means that you're losing a lot of competition. And when you said it was competitive, well, it's less competitive on those deals. And I don't really care about those couple of things. Like, first house I bought with a foundation issue was in Glen Burnie. And yeah, we got an estimate for $55K to fix it. And we went back to the seller, and the seller took $55K off the price. And then I got someone to do it for $10,000 and make it $100. It's the highest grossing rehab I've ever done, $108,000. Like, to date, because of a foundation. So yeah, I mean, that was like my 15th rehab, and I was like, I love foundations now. But to be honest, I knew nothing about foundations. What did I do? I put it under contract, and I got like 38 estimates. Like, I was meeting 5 or 6 like foundation dudes a day, and they were all telling me like, well, here's what you do, and they're explaining it to me. They're educating me. At some level, I thought I could do the foundation. I'm sure I couldn't. But I mean, I learned so much about it that I thought I could do it, which meant that I became qualified to hire someone to do it and realized it's not a $55K job, it's a $10K job. As soon as I knew what to say to them and how to tell them, a contractor came right in and said, yeah, I can do that. That sounds great. Just a $55K guy told me what to do. He just wanted to charge me way too much for it. And another guy was like, I'll do that for $10K. I was like, sweet. I want to make some money now. Like, it ended up being a great deal, but it had black mold through the house. It had foundation issues. It had about every problem you can imagine. You know, we bought it for $55K, put 85 or 90 into it, and sold it for $270,000 or $265,000, something like that. Came from a direct mail, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, direct mail. I marketed to that area for almost 6 months, and that was the only lead I got, and it was the only lead that turned into a deal. So it was totally a good campaign, even though it wasn't a very busy campaign. It was a good campaign because it made money on it. That's all that matters. So you can get what I'm saying, right? There's like certain scenarios. That's how we create power offers, is we have that ability to know like where are we most likely to win, and we can identify that. We can start like searching really quickly and saying, oh, that's that's a place where I win a lot. Right? That's how I get wholesale deals. I get like 100 emails a day, and I just look through them like nope, yup, and I jump on it. Like I seen a yup when I sent it. I was like, yup, I don't have any money. Sent it to Sabrina because it was in PG County. She actually did the deal. You guys did pretty well on that, right? Yeah, it was like a really good one because I could just instantly spot it because I know like, oh, that's like the perfect kind of house, perfect year, price looked good. A lot of things look really nice on it. And you start to train your mind to see those deals. So when you can see a really good deal, you stop paying attention to all the other noise that takes all your time up. Because there's a lot of houses. Every day there's like 50 to 60 new homes that come on the market that you could really be overwhelmed with. Or you can learn to go through those 50 to 60 deals, get down to the 1 or 2 that make sense. And that's what we just did recently. We did it Sunday 2 weeks ago. George, he actually, I think he went and seen it too. He said he had mold poisoning from it. You're still suffering from it? Yeah, get a mold mask if you go in a house with mold. It's kind of nasty. It like makes you have like cough and sick. So yeah, get a nice mask. Don't listen to me. I got bronchitis for like 3 years running through houses without a mask on. But we went in there, and literally on a Sunday, we did a search on the MLS, and from that search, we had 9 properties that looked pretty reasonably good, but it was a Sunday, so I was like, pick 1, 2 best, because I'm not going to see 9, right? It's Sunday. So I was like, and we picked the best one, and we went and seen it, we got it. If we'd have done 9, I probably wouldn't have got that one, because then my focus would have been divided across all 9. And, you know, you put all that focus across 9 properties, and you don't get the result. When I focused it down to 1 property is when I was able to really fight hard for that property. I convinced the lady to put the offer in for me, everything. She was at Jazz Fest. Like, I actually heard the music in the background. She was like going crazy. I don't know how I got her on the phone. Probably thought it was her girlfriend calling her. And I like cornered her to put the offer in. She did, and we got the deal. So it's a pretty good deal too. Middle River or Essex, I don't know. I always get those confused. But nice neighborhood, nice street, hard deal to get. But the key was I did it on a Sunday when everybody else was chilling. I usually am chilling on a Sunday for the record. But I was just like, someone knew I was training. They were like, show me how you do it. And I was like, okay, we'll do it now. It worked. By the way, I've done that many times where I've needed a deal, and I literally got on the MLS and the same day gotten the deal. Many times. Yeah. Well, I don't personally use one. I'll get the agents listing it to do it for me. Yeah. Because usually if you get an agent to do it for you, they get in your way of getting the deal done. Most of the time. I'm an agent too, by the way. My mom's an agent. Yes, yeah. I list all my own properties. I list all my properties. She does too. Oh yeah, I list all my flips. I don't just have it to do that, but I know that how many offers do you put in for us, Mom? Like over, I don't know, 10? Maybe something like that. How many have gotten accepted? Like, I think she put in one for you, it got accepted, but that 1 out of 10 got accepted. So, and that was kind of lucky. That was a very specific situation, and she couldn't get the agent to do it for her. Yeah, very few houses get accepted when you put it in. As soon as you go to the agent, what happens? You're in the inner circle. Now that agent will help you and guide you to win because they want you to win because you're on their team now. So I know I'm an agent too, and yes, I like to collect commissions, but I don't like to collect commissions at the cost of like losing a deal because how much is 100% of nothing? It's a really bad number. Yes. But so without that, a lot of students, what they'll do is connect with an agent. So my mom, what she does for all the people in training is she'll give them access and she'll look at everything. She'll do all the work and get paid nothing. But we get the back end listing. So we get paid something, but on the front side, we know we'd be actually doing our students a disservice by trying to collect that commission for them. We would get in their way. And that's pretty interesting, right? You guys think like, well, you're doing all that work and not getting paid? I don't know many agents that are willing to put offers in for you and get everything set up and then tell you to go to the other agent. We're doing it for a reason, because it's working. It's not about the $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000. It's about the $30,000 or $40,000 you make on the flip. Well, usually the agent's making both of the sides, by the way. The agent is putting the offer in for you, and they're making both double commission. Yeah, I'm calling the listing agent, by the way. Yes, that's who I get to do it for me, the listing agent, so they'll make both sides. And they make both sides. Now they're financially motivated to potentially, well, if they just give me this much information, I have an advantage now. What have we been talking about all night? Creating an advantage. So it's all these little advantages together will create an opportunity for you to start getting more deals than you thought you could get, right? Making more money. Like, there's all these little details of how you do things. Because, like, it makes a lot of sense. What she was saying is, like, why wouldn't I put my own offer in? Like, that just makes, like, if you have any kind of common sense, that makes common sense, right? Like, but then you have to think outside the box when you want to win, because my brain doesn't make sense for me to say, well, why wouldn't I make the commission? Well, I just realized that I wasn't making money when I did it that way. 2 years ago, it didn't matter. Now it's too competitive. You have to have an angle. That's our angle. That and relationships. You know, we have a special way we build relationships, get people to call us. You know, they just know we're trying to do a deal. Like Gloria got an agent to put. She got 3 offers accepted in the first 2 months she was working with us, and she didn't put any of them in. She's an agent. She didn't put any in. I told her, like, don't. She's like, shouldn't I put it in? Nope. Nah, I mean, you put it in. Guess what's happening? You get put in a pile. You get put in a pile. You only win one way. You're the highest offer. However, if you got that inside track, Delante's first deal, they took $10K less because they said Delante, they could trust him. Do you think they could trust him because he's making double commission? Do you think, because he said the other guy was sketchy? I think he thought the other guy was sketchy because he wanted to make a double commission. I don't even know, but I know that he got a deal that literally they had an offer for $10K more with a cash buyer, and they took his offer for $10K less. But, hey, the agent was like, I can trust you. It's like, you know, because they had built rapport, and he felt like he could trust Delante. Delante, I was buying it with him, so he could trust that it was going to happen. So, you know, he did trust that. But I think he could have trusted the other guy if he wasn't doing, like, if Delante, I would have put the offer in for Delante, we never get that accepted. Pretty sure about that. I could be wrong, but I'm not going to find out, though. Go ahead.
It's crazy you say that because we're working with an agent
And sometimes that happens either way. You know, it just does sometimes, but yeah.
Is it just like the money because we were doing a
3K loan, yeah.
2K loan and we got bid out by someone who had cash and could
Yeah.
do it in 20 days. We think that's not.
It's likely that's what happened. Like, if it was a fixer-upper house, you probably had a cash buyer. Oh, Dorchester. I knew Dorchester, so that's Robert Kretzel. You'll never win a deal with him, but yeah. Yeah. Dorchester was a big rehab. I know that one. Yeah, we put an offer in on too, and ours didn't get accepted either. But it's the agent. So you start to know, like, oh, that agent you're never going to get a deal with. He plays the game, like, pretty high level. So I like playing the game with people I can beat. He's a guy I can beat sometimes, but not often. There's certain agents I'm just like, all right, we're going to make this happen, and they're just like, cool, let's do it, and they're happy to make another commission. He's a higher level agent. He's a broker. He also has a lot of agents under him. He has a lot of reasons to kind of keep everything, like, he's not going to accept a 10K lower offer, put it that way. He's only going to accept the best one. A guy named Robert Kretzel. Yeah. Good guy.
Thank you.
Smart guy, too. But has a lot of listings, so you'll see a lot of his stuff. But there's certain people. Dorchester, you weren't going to win. It was a good deal. That's why. Yeah. What did we offer? Delonte and I offered on that. Was it like 80K too or something? Geez, we weren't even close then. Yeah, not too. Yeah, I know exactly. I know it was like listed for like $59,000, right? Yeah, there's no property that comes on the market we don't see that's listed for $59,000. That's like the spidey senses come up. We're like in our car, 3 a.m. Me and Delonte's like beating on the door, and we're in the car, riding around with a flashlight. Something pops on the market at some weird hour, we'd be crazy on it because like it's hard to find things that are listed really well. When they are, we have a good opportunity to win. But sometimes you just, depending on the situation, it is all about. So, like, you'll lose sometimes, but really when I'm to circle back so we can finish up, you'll lose sometimes. When you get your stuff together, you'll get in that kind of situation more often, and you'll win more of them. Where if you don't do things right, then you could literally be in that situation 20 times and lose all 20 times. I just want to be in it like 5 to 10 times and win 1 or 2 houses. I just feel like I'm getting more than my fair share. That's all. I want to get a little bit more, just a little bigger piece of the pie. Like, I want the big scoop of ice cream for the small scoop price. That's all. Yeah.
Do you recommend those loans, the 2 or 3 things?
For doing flips?
Yeah.
No. If you're going to live in it, yes. But you're going to pay more. Because you're really like a homeowner at that point. Yeah. Plus a 2 or 3K loan really doesn't, you're going to do like a full construction one.
We were going to do that with Dorchester.
Yeah, because I need a lot.
Yeah.
Like 100K or something, right? Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it could have been 100. It was a lot. I remember I got the note somewhere, but it was a lot of money in that. Okay. You would have made money. Yep. Wonder, did you ever see what it settled for? Is it not settled yet? Oh, it's been pending for a while. Actually, I called recently because it's been pending for months, and it was a bank. They called me because anytime something goes under contract, that's what Sabrina did if you listen to the podcast. When something's under contract for a long period of time, we always call and make sure everything's going okay because usually it's not going okay. And she made that call, and that's how she got her first deal in PG County. And I made that call in Dorchester like 2 weeks ago, and they said everything's fine. It's a bank issue, but the buyer's ready to go. So we'll know soon what they paid for it. I'm curious. But I don't really care. I'm curious at the same time, but I don't really care. But I'm just going to put myself in enough of those situations where I can win more than my fair share. And that's it. It's all about just tweaking and tweaking until you get it right. Because if something on the MLS is that awesome, you're probably not going to win it. So I will tell you this. I'll tell you that I make good money on certain properties, but MLS properties averages like 35K. Like, that's it. I got some 25K, some 40s, but it's averaging about 30, 35K. MLS, you're not going to make 70, 80K on the MLS, just the way it is. It's too competitive. It's too well marketed. It's got too many eyes are on it. So, you hear the thing you shouldn't fish in the pond everyone else is in. Well, no, I can catch fish in the pond that everyone else is in. I'm not recommending that. I think you should fish in that pond because there's a lot of fish there. There's a reason everyone's in it. However, you're not going to catch the big fish there. You got to go like more direct route, like private or something. And when you're new, it makes sense to kind of max out all the free stuff like MLS, wholesalers, all that stuff. I love doing that. Like we found 8 deals in the 30-day challenge. It ends tomorrow. We found 8 deals in 30 days. And 2 of them came from private. The other 6 came from free MLS and wholesalers. So there's plenty there. I mean, I would have actually did really well if I'd cut all my marketing out. I could have still got 6, which is way more than I can handle. I had to sell 1 off. Like sending directly, like direct mail, banded signs, PPC, anything like private marketing directly to a seller versus, because now you're paying to get there, so there's at least a little higher barrier of entry. I don't recommend if you're new doing that because it costs a lot of money, and it's like everything else. If you're marketing and you're spending a lot of money and you're not making and converting that money, you could lose a lot of money. You on there, Sabrina? No, she's not on there. So it's funny. So basically, I don't recommend private marketing until you know your stuff. It just costs a lot. You can spend thousands of dollars every month and just get no deals. And so some people spend $2,000 a month on marketing. Once you're doing it a little bit, though, it's different. Like you guys, when you're ready, ask me and I'll show you exactly what to do. You can afford to do it because you have the ability to close the deals. You'd be good with the people. Carlos can estimate very quickly, right? And you guys have the money ready and waiting. You'll be able to compete. When you're new, you're not ready to compete because you're going to have other people who are still marketing to these people. The pond just gets a lot smaller. Instead of having like 100 people fishing in a hole, you got like 5. And then it gives you a better chance of really working. But it costs you money. So that's the little thing, that the caveat that people don't talk about. You can spend a lot of money on it. Like I told you, I spent $10,000 on Facebook ads in the last like 5 or 6 months and got no deals out of it. So probably nobody jumping in Facebook right now with that advice. So basically, like when you learn this stuff, these students, this is the first time. You don't even know what I got here. But the other day we had a call, and 2 more people came on, by the way. So it was total of 8 people on the call. All 8 people had deals. We've never had that in the history of Mastermind. I know you were on there. I think that's you, right? Is that him right there with the hat? Yeah, you get your eyes closed, sleeping. Look, this guy's so good, he's doing deals in his sleep. But literally, we've never had that happen before. So what we do in our mastermind is we actually work on finding deals. So all of us are struggling and fighting hard to get deals, make stuff happen. Well, this is the first time in the history of it, 2.5 years, where we had 8 people on the call. All 8 people had a deal signed up. Like I was like, hold on, let's stop for a second. I got to take a screenshot of this and share this because it just never happened before. And I don't expect it to happen. That's not a typical result. The typical result is like 1 or 2 people got deals and others are working towards getting a deal. And then, next time new people got deals, but someone's always getting a deal, but not 8 at once. Good day, by the way. No one on the call didn't have a deal. Like no one on the call. Yes, we've never had that happen before. I'm glad because they would have felt like, what's going on? So basically that's our presentation. And if anybody wants to do like a roadmap session with Delonte or I, one of the coaches, and wants to talk about being coached, people who are already in the coaching, I got an invitation for you. It's free. So here's what I want to offer to you guys. I got an invitation, right? You guys want to invest in yourselves, and there's free stuff in here for you. So it don't cost any money. Right? I got a blueprint that I'll share with you, a book I wrote. It literally, everything we just talked about, it maps it out. So if you're not ready to do coaching, take this, sign it, put it in there. I'm not ready. I want to do it in like 6 months. And we'll send you the blueprint for free. Is that cool? And you can read it. You can learn a lot of stuff from it. Okay? But if you're ready to talk, like you're serious and you're ready to go now, then just say, hey, I'd like to learn now. And we'll do a strategy session for free. What we do in the strategy session is we clarify everything. We just get a plan together. If that plan makes sense and you think you can do it and you'd like me to help you, I will. Right? We're cheapest guys in town for like the best results. But if you don't have money, or maybe you have money, you're just not ready because like you just need to wrap your head around it. That's like me when I was waiting 6 years. That's cool too. Fill this out. Who would like one of these, at least for the free gift? Here, come on up and get it because I only got like 15. So first 15 are gone.